Hey, what's up? Haven't posted in a while. Been working on some things, vacation, some other stuff. But also this deck list has been difficult for OP11 in the West because there's some cards in the East that we don't have access to. But I'll get into the deck list portion of it later. For now, we'll just get into some games and then I'll go over the deck list and my thoughts on the leader as a whole later. Okay, purple Kaido is interesting. I'm going to keep... We can establish him next turn, still swing for 6. Swing first. Okay. Nice. Let's see what he plays. He's doing this, huh? Let's see. How do I want to do this? I mean, worst comes to worst here. We're going to see if he takes or not. Cool. He took, so we'll establish Kiku now that she's online. Ooh. Now I don't have to bounce back a 2K. Oh, interesting. Well, we're going to bounce that back anyway. We have 5 Dawn, so let's go and do... Let's see, do I want to do that yet? No. Swing some 7s here. Unless he gets a Black Maria or something. I got 3 cards out of hand. That's good. And he took, so we'll draw. Sweet. I'm thinking we'll Jozu that back for sure. Let's see. Oof, yeah. So let's go ahead and Jozu you. Bounce you. I mean, he'll get a Dawn rested, that's fine. Let's see. We'll swing 7 again. If he blocks, it's fine. He gets a Dawn. I'm okay with that. Let's see. What do we want to send to the top deck? We'll send Kiku to the top. And then we will go big number. Probably use this Kiku to trash. Okay, all other characters other than this one. I mean, it still heals, so we'll just do that. Perfect. And swing 6. And then blocker, and we will trash that because we don't need 2. I think we're fine here. That's only an on play. You can't use leader ability. You need something to get more Dawn to do that. Even if he did, I've got blocker, 5 cards in hand. Yeah, he's got blocker, blocker. Interesting. We're gonna block out of that. Let's see. So we can go. No, he have... Does he have one in hand? I mean, we'll see what he does here. Does he have one? No. Yep, that's game. Oh, this one's gonna be a little rough. I still do like going first. I don't... It seems greedy to take for 2 blockers. But also keep. Because next turn we'll swing 7? And then put down another blocker. Yeah, because we've got pudding, so Cavendish. Okay. Yeah, it seems like I should do that. Took the life. Sweet. And I can red rock later. Bonnie blocker. That's fine. And he takes life. Does he get to play it? He's going to stack something into it. Probably the Cavendish here. Law blocker. Unless he swings at this, and then that's fine. Yeah, I'll take that. That's fine. We're gonna actually do that first. Yeah. I don't need 2 of these, so I can use 1 if I need to go up to 2. Okay, so one of my Dons rested, so I'll only go up to 6. And he can bounce that back to play the law to bounce the Bonnie back? I don't think he would, though. I mean, he could bounce it and play it back out again. And then add a card. Yeah, he could, yeah, and then boom, stack. I think I might want to raw Jozu the pudding out and throw that brick back in hand. He's gonna freeze 2 of my Don. Right? No, double blocker. Again, I don't need 2. No, it doesn't. Interesting. I don't... See how badly he wants to defend this. Really? Okay. I want to defend the pudding so I can bounce her back. What's he gonna stack? Bonnie blocker. Play out the Bonnie blocker. Swing into my pudding. I'm gonna probably protect her so I can bounce her back, just to have counter. Or do I just red rock his board? I don't know. Just do that. force that to swing. He doesn't. Ooh, boy. Options, options, options. Or I could force this. I think I want to force that. I don't need two of those. I really don't think he's got enough. Does he? Yeah, that's another 2K. We're not in a great spot. Because I should have swung 6-6. Hody Jones to rest the block. Interesting. Takes the life. Kind of want to keep Big Mom, so I might take a hit or two. Unless he goes 10 into her, and then we just kind of have to let her go and hope we get a Kiku out of life. Londana takes the blocker out. Fair. 6 Don. Fair. No trigger. Okay. Great. The real question is, do I think I could win with 7? Probably not, but if we go 4, that gives me 6, so I swing 3. 7 2 is 9, so I swing 8. 9? Does that get it? Yeah. Nice. Oof. That was a close one. Blurple. Take first away. Ooh, no. Better, because I have a pudding. There's a couple ways I can do this. First, we're swinging 8. Probably take. Kind of want to establish teach next turn. Bon Clay. Yeah, because then he gets no value out of teach. We'll remove the Cavendish. Way to do this is teach. Send a Jozu. Swing 10. Yeah. Jozu back. Another Bon Clay to ramp. We'll probably swing big. Another Bon Clay to ramp. We'll take that one. That's a lot of teaches. There's also a lot in his hand. I think we're gonna do that. That. Send you back. Send, let's see, we want probably you. By playing this small bodies, he's not getting any value off these Bon Clays right now, and I'm fine with that. He's about to Sanji into something though. Sanji into Big Mom. Oof. Probably puts pudding in. Ah, I was hoping for a Kiku. Oh boy. I mean, just gonna attach 2, swing 6. Let's see. That's fine. Draw 2K. It's another draw. I don't think I can get it with a split if he's got a gum gum. 7 non. 4 non. 6, 5 non. Boom. It's fine. I can still defend from one of these. I've got plenty of counter. Yeah. We're fine still. Still fine. Has to leave one up for Gum Gum. Not exactly the one I wanted to play. But I think the 3 attacks will probably be better here. Whew, nice. Okay, red, purple, Uta. Let's see what they got here. Red, purple, Uta has been cooking lately. Really no good removal that I like here. Better. Oh, that's probably gone, if I'm being honest. A little greedy with that, but that's fine. They're probably running red hair package and maybe Zephyr. So Kiku is gonna get trashed instead of KO'd. I don't think it's really gonna be good for me to play her out. Yeah, Ben Beckman. So she swings big here. I don't know. We'll see. Because I want to establish this teach so I can chain off these kids later, but Bakura, okay. I'm gonna take a life next turn with my own to KO that blocker, so I don't think we will. I think we'll just, yeah, get out of it. So now he's gonna be able to cycle dead cards. Nice, okay. So you want to give me 2 cards for this? It's film, he should be running a bunch of 2Ks. He takes. I can get rid of 1 kid. I don't need 3. Oof. Ay, ay, ay. Is he gonna ramp again? Like I said, we don't need that many. Oh, that's good. So we'll do that. Then we will go take bottom, put you back in, take that. And do I want to KO one of his blockers? I want to force a block or some counter. This should force a block. So you could play the 9-cost Shanks next turn, but it doesn't really help him. I don't have the 8k, or I don't have the other thing. Oh yeah, you can do that with Shariah, I forgot. He's in a weird spot because he didn't get the double ramp to get to 10. Beckman's my teach, I'm assuming? Yeah. Really don't want to, so we're gonna... Boom. That's good. Forgot I placed that there, if I'm being honest. 100%. So let's see. We'll swing this first because it doesn't help. I mean, I can still kid. That's good at least. Forces more counter out. Don't need two of those. Yeah, I think keeping this counter in hand is going to be good to defend this. If he goes after my Kiku with something that's not a Beckman, I'll get the heal, so it'll be fine. Well, if he thinks he has lethal, he might not swing at Kiku. He's got to be very careful here with how he swings. Okay. Swings that into this, and then I'll just block out. Question is, do I play the teach so I can go up even bigger? It doesn't really matter what I swing with here. He's going to have to block. Yeah. Okay. A little bit more counter in hand. Another 10 drop. Yeah, that's game. I'm gonna let him have it just because I won't die here. And if I can trigger out a Kiku somehow in this life, it'd be great. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. This is the deck list for Blue Yellow Nami. I want to preface this by saying there is some cards that we don't have access to, or there are some cards we don't have access to in the West. So this is a Western OP11 list. This being the big one, or one of the biggest ones, right? Girl, draw 1, trash 1 on play, and activate main, give arrested to our Nami card. So it doesn't have to be just this one. It could be other Nami cards if we have them, but in this list we don't. So this is just our leader. This is really good to get your leader ability online pretty much all the time, as long as it doesn't get removed. And if it does, 2 Don, play another one back out, cycle, get another active Don. So that's really good. The other big one that we don't have access to is, not blue, this yellow Kuma, the secret rare, coming out in OP12. Trash card from our hand on play, add the top card of our deck to our life, then he gains +2 cost, making him a lot harder to remove for the turn. And then if he dies on our opponent's turn on KO, add the top card of our deck to our life card. So potentially double heal from this card, and he's got counter. Easy to play out early because he's a 6 cost, 7k power, so pretty good swing. That card just makes this deck super great, right? We don't get the leader effect on play because it's not a card leaving the life area, but for example, if you have 8 Dawn, you can go out and play Zeus or Nojiko to bounce something back, and then you get off leader ability and then heal it back if you played Zeus, right? So it makes it a little easier to get Zeus online earlier without feeling too big of a hit. The other thing we don't have in the West that a lot of people are running in the East is the 7 cost Odin. Can't be removed once per turn. Actually, it's not even once per turn. So we can just trash 2 cards from a hand. So with the big hand size that we get to draw with our leader and also other cards, Odin's really hard to remove. And then we get the rest 3 Dawn, bounce character back to our hand, and set him as active. So if we played out a Zeus or a Nojiko or a Hiyori earlier, we could bounce them back with Odin and re-stand him. Get another swing in. Really good to get some counter in our hand if we think we have to go another turn and we can't end with that. But those are the big cards that we don't have access to in the West. So this is kind of a Western list that I'm running. And I'll go through the substitutions and stuff as well later. But we'll start off with the leader. Activate, or not activate. Our turn, once per turn, activate the effect when a life card leaves any area. Draw a card if we have 7 or less cards in our hand. It's pretty easy to stay 7 or less. Sometimes you can get more, depending on how much life they've been taking, what cards you use, etc. But it's pretty easy to almost always have this online and stay right around 7 cards in hand. And then Dawn ×1 on our opponent's attack. Trash any card from our hand, and this card gets 2,000 power for the turn, not just the battle. So pretty much any brick that we have becomes a 2k. And any 1k can be a 2k if we absolutely need it to be, right? So that's good because we have not a ton of bricks in this list, but we have enough. We have enough bricks that it makes it fine, especially with this leader ability. But we'll go through the first card, the 1 cost Law Blocker. Really just good to get out with our Dawn commitment that we need for our leader, plus some of our other cards. Getting out this Law Blocker early, and then maybe even late game, depending on what we play, is really helpful because then we're able to protect our life if we use too many Zeuses and can't heal, or if we need to protect like a kid or another card that we just played, like our Cavendish. It's really good to be able to protect things with a really good chunk blocker, and also he's a brick that we can trash for a 2k. So it's not like he's a completely dead card in hand, as long as we don't have too many of him, right? Another staple is the OP11 Nojiko. If our leader is Nami, return one of our opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less to the owner's hand. So this is really good early, right? Whatever they play, we just set them back a whole turn. With Nojiko, yeah, she's 0 power, but we have ways to get her back in our hand later, especially once we get access to Odin, right? We have Teach in place of the girl promo card right now, and that's mainly just because we need something to get our leader ability online late game when we're playing big bodies. Activate main once per turn, place a card from our hand at the top of our deck, and attach up to 2 rested on to one of our leaders or characters. So it's not necessarily limited to just Nami, like the girl promo is, but he's worse because we have to take a card from our hand that we already have and put it at the top of our deck. So even if we do get leader ability off, it's gonna kind of bring it back to our hands. So ideally, this would be good to potentially use after you've gotten your leader ability off with like maybe a kid, or a double swing. Maybe you swing with a Kiku or a Nico Robin, and you get the life out. And then you can use this freely to stack whatever you just drew or something else back in. Save it for the next turn if you want to, etc. But it will slow down your draw power, which is why you kind of play him early, sit on him, and then use him late game when you need that extra Don after you're playing your big bodies. We have 3 copies of Pudding, because any blue deck is not complete with at least 2 copies of Pudding, right? On play, opponent returns their entire hand to their deck, shuffles, and draws 5 cards. So it's pretty easy if you're able to slap your opponent early, and you get to draw a bunch of cards, and they're taking the hits, right? You just get to put everything that they got out of life. Maybe they played a bunch of searchers. It's really good against like Blurple Luffy when he does like double Nami search on turn 1 or 2, depending on when he starts. But if he finds like 2 Sanji Puddings and then you just play this, there's a good chance he doesn't get more than 1 for the rest of the game. Potentially 2, but Pudding, really good card. I don't think you need more than 3. You see her enough with 3, but if you really want to just rip your opponent's hand, put it back in the deck, and keep doing that, you can play 4, but I find myself only ever really playing 1 per game. Next is the 4-cost Cavendish. 6k power, no counter. When attacking, draw 2, trash 1. So we do run a lot of bricks, and we do run a lot of stuff that isn't really searchable. As you can see, our lower end, we don't really have any searchers, so this is a way to cycle through our deck pretty efficiently. We're drawing 2 and trashing 1, and then also with the leader ability, we're drawing 1, so there's a potential to draw like 3 cards per turn if you have Cavendish out. He's really good to establish as soon as you can. However, sometimes late game it doesn't make sense, but he is a good body to play early. He doesn't have any triggers. Again, he's just, you play him out hard as soon as you can, probably after you have Noja Code or Zeus something to make it a little bit more difficult for them to remove. And then we have Jozu. Really, really good blue card. Pretty much good in any blue deck that you have, especially if you're doing a lot of bouncing. Just on play, return one of our characters other than this card to our hand. Return up to 1 6-cost for lower character to the original owner's hand. So let's say you played that Nojiko, or you played that Zeus, or you played that Hiyori. You need to bounce it back to hand. You can do so with Jozu. I've also had some situations where I've bounced 2 of my own cards back to hand to get even more counter. That's also an option. Really good if you just need to get more counter in your hand. You don't necessarily need to remove one of their characters. So Jozu, really good card. I like to play him at 7, obviously, because I need to attach a Don to my leader. So 7 or 8 if you don't have a kid or something, right? Jozu's really good to play out. We have 2 copies of the SCC Rush Luffy, and that's mainly because I don't find myself needing too much rush. If anything, I would say put him at 3 at most, but again, we're not super worried about the rush. He's kind of a game ender than he is to play him out as soon as you can, so he doesn't really need to be found too much. And again, we have a ton of cycle with leader ability. Also with Zeus and Hiyori being able to cycle through our life as well. So finding the Luffy even at 2 is not too bad. His ability though on the sim is kind of bugged. It says when attacking you may trash 1 card from your hand. However, the sim forces you to do it. I don't think you need to, because it's in bold text and it says you may, implying that you can if you want to, but you don't have to activate this when attacking effect, especially if you're like low on cards. But you can bounce a 4-cost of your opponent's. You can even bounce one of your own cards back. I've done that as well. Trash out a brick, maybe get back a 2k. Keep the amount of bricks in my hand low, etc. It's good to bounce things back if you absolutely need to. But most of the time, you're going to use this to bounce back one of their blockers and get 2 8k swings in at your opponent with this and your leader when you buff it. Because he gives a Don to a leader or character after you use his effect too. So really good, but no more than 2, I don't think. Then we have Hiyori, 2k, and on play you put the top of your bottom or top or bottom card of your life pile into your hand. Put up to one card from your hand on the top of your life pile. Now, you don't really run too many triggers, or at least this list doesn't. There's not too many cards I would want to stack in and trigger off of, except the Kikunojo. So we'll get to that card in a little bit. But this is a really good 2K. You get to cycle through your life. It will count for your leader ability too. So you play that, cycle your life, put the Kiku in the top, right? And then you also get to draw a card from leader ability. So you're not really going down in anything. You might go down in like one card, but at the end of the day, you're cycling really well with that, getting 2 new cards, and stacking your Kiku into life, which will be really good to get out later. Then you have Zeus, another 2K, but on play, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand and KO up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or less characters. Also really good early out if you don't want to do the Nojiko, or maybe you want to cycle your life and KO something completely. He does have 2K power, so you could potentially swing with him later if you have the Dawn available, but most of the time you're going to be trying to bounce him back with like Jozu or maybe even the Rush Luffy. But really good, you'll get the leader effect off on him as well, so you'll get to cycle a card from your life and from your deck, and also remove one of your opponents. So you go down 1 life, but you get 2 cards for card advantage, so it's not horrible, but you don't want to do this too many times unless you're in a really, really good spot with your board state that you can take a hit or 2, or you have a ton of cards in hand where it doesn't matter. Next card is the 4-cost 6K Kiku, no counter, but on KO, if our opponent's life is 3 or less, place the top card of our deck onto our life. So a lot of the times, you know, you're going up against 4 life leaders, sometimes even 5, you get them down to 3 life. Blue Purple Luffy, he's always on, or she's always online, or I think he's always online. Kiku's always online against Blue Purple Luffy. Sometimes they won't want to give that to you, especially if you've been able to counter out pretty early. But the biggest thing here is the trigger, right? You can stack it into your life with Hiyori after hitting them a couple times, and then they hit your life, and then you get that body out for free. So it's not too bad, but you do have to make sure you get it online, and remember when you stacked it to make sure you're not taking the hit and not able to trigger this out if they're at 4 life. But it'll be a really good card to stack in. I don't really find myself hard playing this out too much. I'd rather do the Cavendish over the Kiku most times so I can get cycle, and then try to Hiyori the Kiku into my life later for a lesser Dawn commitment, right? But still a really good card. If you have to hard player, not a bad option, especially if your opponent's at 3 life, right? They're not going to really want to KO her at that point. Right now, this is kind of where we start to differ a little bit. The last 2 cards, not really, but these next 2, we kind of differ from the Eastern meta because we just don't have access to those cards. I'm running 3 of the 6-cost Robin. She's got 1K, so she's not a super dead card. If our opponent has 3 or more life cards, we could trash up to one of their cards from their opponent's life. So you could Hiyori a Kiku into your life early, hit a 5 life leader, right? Then use this to get them down to 4, and now your Kiku's online. Or if they're a 4 life leader and they countered out a turn before, right, you can drop this Nico Robin, and then they're at 3, and now your Kiku's online in your life. So it just kind of depends. She's situational, because we do have another 6K that we'll want to play most likely, but Robin's not bad. She's good to have. I wouldn't really want her at 2. I'd want the option more, so I have her at 3, but any more than 3, and I feel like I could just use that slot for something else. One of those things is this 6-cost 7K Charlotte Linlin. On play, we trash a card from our hand, and our opponent chooses to discard 2 cards or to trash a top card from their life. Now, this is really good either way. Some instances, it's really powerful. If you can get them down to 2 cards in hand, they really don't have much of a choice. They'd probably rather give you the life than the cards, because then, you know, they can't counter out of anything after that if they give you the 2 cards. She is powerful. She is more powerful early, just like the Robin, but she doesn't have like a, you know, if your opponent has this many life stat to her. If your opponent doesn't have any cards in hand, or they don't have any life, you don't play this Linlin, because they just are able to choose the other option, or they're able to choose that option and nothing happens. So really good for the mid game. you're going to rip 2 cards or you're going to get a life. If you get the life by using her, you also get your leader ability online. So you can couple that with your leader and swing maybe like 7 on your leader and play her at 8. Then you can get a 7k swing and also Linlin. I would play Linlin first just because you make them choose. And then if they lose the cards, then the leader swing is a lot more likely to hit. And if they lose the life, then you don't have to worry too much about your leader swing hitting. But you're most likely also going to get 2 cards from the leader swing anyway. So if you play Linlin on 8 Dawn and you swing a 7 with leader, you're probably getting both effects of the Linlin in that turn. So it doesn't really matter which one they choose at that point. But really good card to have. Also brick, but she could be trashed for a 2k too. But any more than 3 copies, and I don't think we need to see her that much. I think we see her just fine with the amount of draw we have. Second to last card, obviously, is this Eustace Captain Kidd. 8 cost, 9k body, a little harder to remove. You rest him on play, trash a card from the top of our opponent's life cards. And then at the end of our turn, if they have 2 or less life, we draw 1 and discard 1. So we get to cycle out, maybe we have too many bricks, we cycle out a brick, get another counter card maybe, and then we're good to go. Because we can only discard 1 card per turn to go up to the 7k stat line for Nami, so having too many bricks in our hands doesn't help us that much. But it's really good. I was watching a Vampire Gaming commentary today about, I forget what match it was. I think it was Yellow Kid versus Blurple Luffy. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he described this card in a really good way. And that's essentially that this card is an 8 cost rush. You don't really swing with it, but you're guaranteeing the life. So it doesn't matter if they have a blocker on board. This will go through, and it's almost like a rush card because you're resting it and then you lose a life. So if you think about it like that, the 8 Dawn commitment is a lot better. However, with Nami, that only leaves us 2 Dawn to do anything else. So sometimes it does get a little bit weird with leader ability needing that Dawn attached. And this is where the teach would come in, or the girl promo, to make sure we have that Dawn on leader so that we can have our leader ability online. These high-end plays like the 8 cost Kid and the 8 cost Luffy are kind of where we start getting some problems with the leader ability, and we need the teach and we need the girl promo. Before that, we probably don't really need the rested Dawn on our leader. We can attach. It does help though. When you have the girl promo, you probably want to do it every turn. But teach is kind of more situational, where you want to use his ability late game when you don't need a ton of draw into new cards and you just need to hit them harder. Last card, Gum Gum Red Rock. If you have a blue deck, you should at least have 2 copies of this in there. Most likely you should probably have 3. It's just that good of a card. For 6 Dawn, you can bottom deck any character our opponent has. And it doesn't matter if they have a trash effect or a KO effect, because you're bottom decking them. The only effects you need to worry about are when removed from play, or if they say that they cannot be removed from our opponent's abilities, right? This is kind of situational. Most cards you should be fine, but for 6 Dawn, this isn't a bad commitment, especially if you're going up against like a Blurple Luffy, like a ramp deck, or even like a Pudding or Sanji Pudding in Blurple. 6 Dawn, it is kind of steep, but you do get to take it out of play. You can also couple this with something like, you know, a Cavendish, or you can bottom deck and then Pudding, or you can use this and Nojiko or Zeus or Hiyori to stack something into life to get the Kiku out, or double Law Blocker, etc. Right? You have some options to play with this and still swing with Dawn on leader. Another option, if you really want to, is Gravity Blade. You could run maybe 1 or 2 copies, maybe put Robin down at 2 if you want, or some other ratio of these 4 or 3 cost cards, or 4 or 3 copy cards that you have, and maybe run 1 or 2 Grav Blades. It is a little bit higher, and it does only do 6 cost or less. So sometimes, if they have a wide board, this wouldn't be a bad option. But if you're trying to remove just a 6 cost, I think playing out the Jozu, bouncing back some counter to your hand is better. I know it doesn't bottom deck it, but I think the Jozu is a little bit better than the Gravity Blade. But Gravity Blade is an option. I would maybe run Teach at 3, throw in a Gravity Blade or 2, and then go from there. But overall, Nami's good right now. She's not horrible, but she's not the best leader. in OP11. In OP12, she's going to get really good with that Kuma and that Odin, and hopefully the West will get access to that promo card so we can use that. Those are going to be phenomenal. This deck's going to be really good in OP12. It won't be the best, obviously, because we have things like Zoro. I don't think she'll do too bad into Koala, but Koala will probably be a slight issue for Nami, maybe. But Zoro's clearly going to be the best OP12 leader, I think. But Nami will be much better in OP12 than she is right now in 11. But she's not bad. You're probably not going to win too many events with this. There have been some in the East, but they have access to the better list. So in 11, she's an okay leader, but you're kind of investing for the future at this point with her. I have a lot of fun with her. I think she's good. She does struggle a bit into Kobe. Kobe, you can't really remove his stuff once he starts putting things in trash. You kind of just have to swing big and hope everything connects. Obviously, Blurple, really hard too once he hits his late game too. So that's pretty much it. I will be revising this deck list once we get to OP12. I will probably try OP12 deck list on the sim and update that. But for the most part, this is what we got in 11. This is what we'll have to deal with. And then once OP12 comes around, Blue Yellow Nami is going to be a lot better. If you enjoy the video, go ahead, leave a like, comment, let me know. And then I'll start working on the next one, which will probably be Red Purple Uta.